Nativity. The Nativity refers to the story of the birth of Jesus, and the scratch part refers to your participation in it. I am the narrator, and I will be narrating the story, and at certain points I'll call on your character to stand and repeat certain lines. That's all you need to listen for. And the story of the Nativity Think that you know it? If I asked you to tell it, you'd probably blow it. A wrong detail here, a part missed out there. The writers of that night would pull out their hair. There is no detail in this story that should go to waste. All should be included in this tale of grace. So I might add some bits, but I won't change a thing, because this story tells the birth of the Christ, Lord and King. And everyone here is to take part in this. Whenever I say Christmas, reply, it's about Jesus. Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
Very good. Where shall we start? There's so many beginnings. We could kick off a Genesis if we want all the trimmings, but starting when God first created the earth is a touch too far back to get to his birth. So we'll start with a visit an archangel paid to Mary, a sweet teenager, a maid. So all the Marys, stand up now if you please. Thank you, Marys. Because we are nearly at Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
Very good. Our Marys are busy with day jobs and things, not expecting a visit from a guest, bright with wings. By the way, Marys, you need to remain standing. Could our angels also stand? Excellent. The angel Gabriel said to Mary, now angels repeat what I say, don't be afraid. God says, you've a blessed life. And though right now you are no man's dear wife, in 9 months' time, give or take 2 or 1, you'll have a baby boy, God's one holy Son. But Mary said, Marys, repeat after me, I'm not married to anyone right now. Angels, repeat after me, don't worry about that. For God is a plan. And you will be wed to Joseph, your betrothed, a good, decent man.
For everyone, my unto you, turn his ear. Let every heart prepare his throne. Let every nation under heaven come and worship. Do not be afraid. My soul magnifies the Lord. My soul magnifies the Lord. He has done great things for me, great things for me. My soul magnifies the Lord. My soul magnifies the Lord. He has done great things for me, great things for me. Of his government there will be no end. He will establish with his righteousness, and he shall reign upon his throne, and his seed will be this day on. Wonderful Counselor, everlasting Father, wonderful Counselor, and his name shall be everlasting Father. My soul magnifies the Lord. My soul magnifies the Lord.
For years to come, people will remember this, the baby whom they'll celebrate at Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
So Mary agreed to do what God wanted, and warm comfort she felt, not cold, dark, and haunted.
Please stand and join in our first carol, Come All Ye Faithful. Amen. Please be seated.
So, Mary began to get rounder and rounder. While people gossiped about the state that they found her, and Joseph wondered how he should react, knowing the baby wasn't his. That's a fact. So Joseph's stand up. as he thinks what to do about his engagement. Should he carry it through? And just to make sure the rest aren't rebellious, remember, it's nearly Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
Very good. I'm glad that you're all still awake. Joseph's, pay attention. Here's some faces to make. First, Joseph didn't believe the rumor so much. Okay, Joseph's, show me your disbelieving face. That he heard from the butcher, the baker, and such. He shook his head and said, repeat after me, Joseph's, no way. I will not believe what you've said today. Then, when he started to believe his own eyes, Joseph looked very, very surprised. Okay, Joseph's, show me your surprised looks. Then when he realized he wasn't the dad, his face showed everyone that he was quite mad. Joseph's, furious looks, please. Though Joseph loved Mary, he decided in quiet he couldn't marry Mary. No way. He'd deny it. But then, one night Joseph settled down, it would seem, for much needed sleep, but was gifted a dream. Thank you, Joseph. Please be seated. Let's have the angels stand up again. Very good. And there in his dream, angels say, repeat after me, angels, do not fear. We come with good news. So give us your ear. Mary hasn't been off seeing somebody new. Her heart lies with God. Her heart lies with you. The babe that she carries is the hope of man. God's child. So, Mary, sweet Mary, as has long been the plan. And with that, the dream angels ran. Thank you, angels. You may be seated. Joseph woke up, made Mary Mrs., not Miss. Not long to go now until it's Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
It was being announced by loud voices in town that the emperor, Caesar, said all must go down to the towns where their family heralded from for a massive forced census, a populational sum. Any donkeys here, please stand. And be prepared to take a bow. Take a bow. There. You know that the Bible doesn't actually say that Mary rode on a donkey. That wasn't the way. More likely the donkey carried bags as she walked, striding ever so loyal as the two of them talked. So if you've come as a donkey today, donkeys give a very loud bray. Hee-haw! Very good. The distance to Bethlehem is quite long enough that even the fittest of fit would find tough. Donkeys, hee-haw. It's a 100-kilometer walk, a week at the best, more likely 10 days, as Mary would need to rest. Thank you, donkeys. Please be seated. More likely, there's family that could give you a bed, which Joseph had hoped for, but he found instead that all of the guest rooms were filled to the max, and room for these late two was too much to ask. Hotels didn't exist in early Palestine. No one ever sent you to room number 9. Joseph probably went from house to house, asking for space for me and my spouse. A long, drawn-out time. But I tell you this because it's nearly Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
There was no Holiday Inn or Travelodge there. Joseph was looking for a warm house to share. Now, if we have innkeepers present among us, please stand and repeat this little chorus. Innkeepers, are you ready? No room at the inn. Joseph's, please stand and repeat this line. Are you ready? Innkeeper, have you room for us for a time? Innkeepers, please repeat, no room at the inn. Joseph persisted until one innkeeper did say, innkeepers, please repeat, we have room in our barn. You are welcome to stay.
Please stand and join in on the
Mary and Joseph are now in the barn. For the most important part of our yarn, right there where the animals usually were, the Son of God's arrival, his birth, did occur. Among the mess and the mud, the straw and the dust, in the lowest of low, he came to us. No midwives appeared during this time in the story, just Mary and Joseph to welcome the gift of God's glory. A plain human birth. Not special, but truth is,
it's about Jesus. I'm sorry.
thank you. Finally, it's properly Christmas. Then, after Jesus had a good cry and a feed, This sweet little boy would then have need of somewhere soft, somewhere safe for his sleeps. So Mary looked round, saw the straw there in heaps. She gently laid out the straw in the trough and placed Jesus down. It was more than enough.
Would you like to stand? And kids, I really want to hear you singing.
The Nativity story then turns from his nest to taking the shepherds, not quite at their best, vigilant, ever watchful all through the night, but never expecting an enormous fright. So if you are a shepherd here with us today, please stand. You have some choices, so now choose a way. You may choose to go sleep, complete with snores, oh so loud. Sleeping shepherds, let's hear your snores. Very good. Other shepherds, please stand and count sheep. We need to see you counting out there in the crowd. Good. Sheep, please stand and be counted. And let's hear a baa. Good. So the shepherds may keep a close eye and a count. And make sure none took a leap off the hillside, lost or now lion chew. Because every lost sheep will cost much to you. Counting shepherds, let's hear you counting. Sheep. Sleeping shepherds, I need to hear you snoring. Very good, very good. Now, shepherds weren't considered the holiest of men in those days because they could never get into the temple or synagogue to worship and pray, as they always were working on the Sabbath day, so they couldn't worship except on a whim. But upon that night, worship came to them. The shepherds were completely, so deeply petrified, they hugged one another, they shook, and they cried. Don't worry, I won't ask you to do that. Angels, please stand. But the angel said to them, repeat after me, angels, don't worry. But I would suggest to hurry to town. There's no time for rest. The baby Messiah, there you will find. The Christ, the one who will save humankind. And if you need some more proof of this, you will find the baby where ox food normally is.
here in this crystal tears have started drying. Something in these lights that moves. Savior in the manger lying. Above his blankets wide. Rain's filling up the sky.
Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Christ is born.
Then suddenly, the whole sky was filled to the brim of angels singing. Angels, stand and repeat after me. Are you ready? Glory to God, to him. The angels disappeared. Please be seated. And the shepherds took flight and left the sheep there, the whole flock, that dark night. They rushed off to see the newborn king, using the angel's clue about where he was staying. And we'll all stand for our next carol and will not remiss because it's Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
The shepherds arrived where the family were, tiptoeing in so as not to cause a stir, and they just knew there was something special about the boy, so they hushed their babble and knelt silently by the manger with care before telling the story of what led them there. Joseph and Mary were completely amazed by their story, which some might have said was so crazed, but they were getting used to surprises from God. So they listened intently, not finding it odd. The shepherds had come because it's Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
The next part of the story is set a long way to the east. Up in the sky, what was happening upon earth below. So let's have any wise men and or women with smarts stand up. Look look at stars and compare them with charts. Stars would be up there. And if we have anyone who has come as a star this morning, please stand. And raise your star to shine above Bethlehem, much blessed in the land. The star appeared first when Jesus was born, and the wise ones spotted it shining out in the morn. Wise ones point to a star and repeat, ready? What is this that we see? The new star was shining ever so brilliantly. What should they do, this group so clever? They talked and got their heads together. Wise ones, repeat after me, let's follow the star. As it must mean a royal baby has come. Now I hope in the room that we have a king. Herod, that name bells a ring. I'm thinking that he should come up here and sit upon this big red throne for a bit. As we continue to tell the story of what happened then, the wise men didn't go at first to Bethlehem. It turns out the star wasn't quite that precise. And here's where our story gets a little less nice. King Herod is horrid, a nasty, mean man who did everything that he possibly can to keep himself in the seat of absolute power. Every second, every minute, why every hour. The wise men, not wanting the whole country to see, went straight to Herod's palace, logically. When they turned up at his royal palace, he put on his most nicest face. He shook their hands and welcomed them all. And listened to their story, deeply enthralled. Where will you go to find the Christ child? Herod asked with a smile. Please let me know where he is, by the by, so I can stop by and just say hi. King Herod very clearly did not really mean this. King Herod is really, really not very Christmas.
It's about Jesus.
Let's have one star. Yes, you will do well. To show the kings where the family dwell. The star finally stopped, and the story in the biblical tome says the wise men followed that star to the family home. They presented him gifts, not the usual thing. These gifts were made specially for a king. No teddies or wool hats lined with soft fur, but gold and frankincense and myrrh. 3 gifts. Yes, but not necessarily 3 wise folk. Now, don't get cross with me, but there might have been more, and there may have been fewer of these rich traveling astrologers the star did allure. But this time, and this story, and all of this biz reminds us it's Christmas.
Please stand for our last carol.
So, thank you to one, and thank you to all. Recalling this nativity, it's been a ball.